Perfect. Makes a literal splash. And also Eucharist sounds like a rap session with your pastor at like Vacation Bible School. So
Yeah, I'm glad. I was driving home at one point. I was in LA, and I think I was in the car with my girlfriend at the time, and my editor Abby, and yeah, this was pretty. I mean, this was like 2022 maybe. And I was just like, maybe I should come up with something different for this. Maybe like lemonade blessing or something. I was like, oh shit, that's good. I'm gonna email myself that one when I get home. Yeah, it just stuck, you know.
all right, Chris, you ready to go?
Dude, I was born ready. Let's rock it.
Beautiful. All right. So thanks so much for joining me today. I've got Chris Merola, the writer and director of Lemonade Blessing, which is coming to the Tribeca International Film Festival 2025, Tribeca International Film Festival. Its first screen is June 5th, 2025. That's showing a few other times during the festival. It is a kind of like dark comedy, a little bit raunchy coming of age story about religion and faith and legacy and kind of like carving your own path. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. I love the subject matter. I love the cast, and I love kind of like the humor it has. So I'm very excited to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, dude, it's such a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Of course, of course. So you wrote this. I am just curious, what trauma caused you to write this down? Like, what horrible thing did you do as a kid that made you want to tell this story?
Dude, honestly, God, who knows where ideas come from, right? It was in 2019. I got this image in my head of, a boy with his pant leg scrunched around him looking at a Eucharist wafer floating at the top of a toilet bowl. And I was like, okay, interesting image. I filed that one away. And then 2021, I had started at USC for my MFA in film production. And, I wanted to write a bunch of features by the time I graduated. So I said, okay, let's sit down and let's write a first feature. So I wanted to start with like something personal. So I just wrote down a bunch of memories and feelings I had when I was an adolescent, and I noticed commonalities between them, like little threads. So I kind of paired the threads together and I got like an A, and a B, and a C plot. And I wrote it out of order, which was kind of fun because, depending on if I was feeling goofy or romantic or sad on certain days, I could write the scenes that corresponded with those emotions. And then I kind of, fictionalized a bit. I shuffled it all together and I was thinking about it, and I realized that this image that I had in my head could be paired with these memories. I could externalize a lot of the common themes, which was guilt over becoming a sexual person and what that meant about the faith that my mom was raising me with and my relationship with her. I realized I could find a way to externalize this internal conflict by pairing sacrilegiosity, these dares, with the escalating of a sexual relationship between a boy and a girl. And when I paired those two things together, I thought I had a pretty solid narrative device, and I think I had something on my hands there.
Yeah, you definitely had something. I'm questioning where this original image came from, but you know what? It was some sort of vision, right? Something happened. I don't know where
There
it
must
came
be
from.
something iconoclastic about, like, maybe there's just something about, like, I was raised a certain way. Maybe there's something kind of rebellious or impish about me, and I wanted to like poke and prod a little bit. Like, I don't really know. Yeah, it's hard to say.
I guess a urinal cake could look a little bit like a Eucharist, depending on like what,
Maybe.
the vision, like the angle, whatnot. So yeah, I can see it. Also, I didn't realize you went to USC. Fight on, fight on. So
Hell yeah, dude, fellow Trojan over
yep,
here.
yep, of course. So the movie
Dude.
sounds a little bit autobiographical, like it has some of your own kind of like upbringing in there, maybe some similar situations, but the overall story is kind of like weaved together from some of your experience and then some of the things you were kind of like thinking about as you were writing.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you gotta lean on what feels truthful. So the feelings of the film are 100% accurate. It's ultimately fictional, but I think anyone who knows me or went to my high school will probably watch this and feel seen, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I love, so much of this movie depends on, John and Lilith, those characters, those actors. How did you find them? Had you worked with either of those actors before, or was this just like a normal casting call? Because they both did amazing, like for the subject matter that they had to deal with and the subject matter that they had to kind of like, project on screen. I thought they both did fantastic.
Dude, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think they're stupendous people and great performers. Jake I had known about since like 2018. I saw him in eighth grade, and I just God, he's only in two scenes in that thing. but he just stole the show, dude. He's showing like Elsie Fisher's chicken nuggets, and he's like, if you want any extra sauce, just let me know. I have all the sauces. And I was just like, I love this guy. I love him. He's so New York. He's so neurotic, fast paced, self disclosing. So he was on the pitch deck, man. I really liked him. And yeah, our casting director, I think either reached out to him or he tried out for it. I don't know which, but yeah, we got a hold of him pretty early. And Skye was more part of a traditional casting process. Dude, I gotta tell you, the young female actresses are cutthroat when it comes to getting these. Like, so many people try out for these roles. I was like staggered by how many people tried out for Lilith. Like, it was insane. I'm talking about people with like 10 to million followers across all their social media, just like unbelievable stuff. But I really wanted to go with like the truth of it. And Skye had never done like a leading role in a feature before, but she was so great at putting on like a mask, putting on armor, being guarded, and yet playing that 15-year-old, guarded self. But for the adults in the room who can see through that, she left just small cracks in the armor where light could peek through. And that's the thing that I was so struck by. So I love them both separately. We brought them together for a chemistry read, and yeah, dude, it was like fireworks. They were so clever. They were coming up with stuff that was even better than what was written. And so I knew that, man, when we went to rehearsal, I wanted this stuff to be airtight so that when we were on set, they could nail what was scripted immediately and then do some improvised takes. And that was great because like 15% of the final film is improv, which I think really is what sells it. They can bring themselves to it and say it in their own words. And I think that's really what is the last little, zhuzh that we needed.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes everything feel a lot more natural, feel a lot more kind of like, not like they're acting, like they're just kind of like telling a story. I also love that you mentioned kind of Skye's like mask, because I love that about her character. Like it almost felt like you could tell that, I don't know, like that she felt like a good girl, like, someone who was just kind of trying to get into that rebellious phase, didn't really know how, so was testing limits, had a little bit of a devilish side to her, but ultimately like it felt like she was similar to Jake's character. Like she was ultimately a good girl who's just trying to rebel against, what she had grown up against, which is very normal, very natural, and it leads to interesting characters.
Dude, thank you so much. Yeah, I super agree. I feel like they represent the duality of the way the young people react to their parenting. So, kids are either like, your parents are like, okay, be X. And some kids are like, okay, I will be X. And then other kids are like, I will be negative X. I will be the opposite. But there is a third option, which is, take what you like and leave the rest. But I think neither of them quite realize that maybe until the end of the runtime of the film. And yeah, I really think they're very similar. It's two sides of the same coin. They're both allowing Catholicism and their parents to determine the the conversation, right? Even Lilith, the name, is Adam's biblical first wife that rejected being his wife. So even when she's rebelling, she's using Catholicism to rebel, which is, still a reaction against ultimately.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the title Lemonade Blessing. I obviously didn't get it until partway through the movie. I'm curious, do you have other titles in mind as you were writing this, or did you did that original image kind of stick in your head and that was always going to be the title?
The first title of this in the first draft, I haven't said this yet. It's so kind of weird and silly and maybe too cheeky, but the original title was Eucharist, but instead of spelling it properly with the Eucharist, it was YOU, like Eucharist, because there was something about it that was like these dares were his way of exploring his own identity and like who he was becoming. So I thought that might be interesting, but ultimately I was trying to think of like, okay, it's the first feature. I need to find a way to like make a splash. And like Lemonade Blessing was both referential to the story, but it also was kind of like a title like Licorice Pizza, where it kind of gets the vibe of the film. It's like combining two opposites, something fun and sweet, lemonade, but something a little darker, more spiritual or religious with blessing. And yeah, I just thought it kind of rolled off the tongue, and it benefited from the positive associations that people have with the word lemonade and the word blessing. And I looked it up and no one had come up with it before. So I was like, all right, let's do that.
Perfect. Makes a literal splash. And also Eucharist sounds like a rap session with your pastor at like Vacation Bible School. So
Yeah, I'm glad. I was driving home at one point. I was in LA, and I think I was in the car with my girlfriend at the time, and my editor Abby. And yeah, this was pretty. I mean, this was like 2022 maybe. And I was just like, maybe I should come up with something different for this. Maybe like Lemonade Blessing or something. I was like, oh shit, that's good. I'm gonna email myself that one when I get home. Yeah, it just stuck.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we have limited time. I'm going to switch to a lightning round. There's lightweight questions about the film. Want to see your personal experiences, map the things in the movie. Feel free to skip any of them. I will not be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable.
Yes, please.
First question. You were raised religious. Are you still religious? Do you have like a religiosity about you?
That's a really interesting question. It's actually two different. Are you religious slash religiosity? So I'm not. I'm an atheist, but I think the intensity and the vocationalness of religion, which is you lay down your life and everything for something bigger than yourself, is a huge part of being an artist. And so I think I relate to art and I pursue art almost like the way a priest would pursue the faith. But no, I don't quite believe in a Judeo-Christian God or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I have like, I'm kind of somewhere in between, but I have like a, I was raised religious as well. And like, there's times it pops up. Like I was at a metal concert and I was like a shirt that I really liked that had like the devil on. I was like, I don't know if I could buy that. Like, oh, it looks cool,
Ooh.
but like, I don't know if I personally could buy it. So
So
it
interesting
does.
when that rubs up against your childhood, like it's just like in your bones. You're like, I don't know, like
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like they're still there. Those little things on my shoulder, they're still there.
yeah, the angel
Um,
devil.
this film has, John doing a lot of crazy things for Lilith. What is the craziest thing you have done for a crush or significant other?
I dated someone who they would like send me on little dares when we would go to the mall. Like one time, she was like, "I want you to beg for money until you have enough money to buy me a milkshake." So I just begged. I begged various people for money. I had one time like someone was walking by with a veteran's cap just to go thank them for their service. So I ran and thanked them for the service. There was one time we were at an amusement park and she was like, "I want you to attach $1 to fishing wire and lay it out so that someone will reach down to pick it up, and then I want you to yank it away so that they can't take the dollar." So I did that a couple times. I was very susceptible to doing dares for love. So I'm glad you asked me that question. I've never revealed that before, but I'm glad it got out.
Yeah, exactly. I can see where Lilith's, little pranks came from. That's perfect.
Yeah.
This movie also has a treasured family item that something happens to it. You have to watch the movie to find out. But do you have any sort of like treasured family heirloom item, something that has significance to you?
I think when I was 18, my grandpa gave me one of his watches. I actually don't know if it's his watch or it belonged to his brother Joey, but my great, my who would have been my great uncle Joey died at like 18 due to friendly fire. He had actually survived Normandy and then, died like I think a grenade blast, like knocked like friendly fire grenade blast knocked him back, and the whiplash, he hit a tree,
Oh
and that
wow.
just
Oh wow.
and it's really sad because it really led to a lot of generational trauma. Like I think, yeah, it hurt my grandpa like growing up. He passed those wounds on to my mom to some degree. My mom clung to faith, I think, as a result of her own wounds, and that excessive devoutness carried into my upbringing. So, now I'm on Lexapro. Yay.
Well, there you go. You have a treasured heirloom and you have like a good sense of your mental health and the things you need to do. So,
Yeah, yeah.
this movie also has a pivotal scene where John's mother rightfully smacks him. Did your mom ever smack you for any reason?
My mom never hit me, but one time, my dad is the most chill guy ever. I have no idea. To this day, he doesn't even know why he did this. But the song "Do Your Chains Hang Low? Do They Wobble to the
Yep,
Floor?" That sort of thing.
yep,
So
yep.
at school, I was in like fourth grade. So like someone had made up a variant called "Do Your Boobs Hang Low? Do They Wobble to the Floor?" So I just walked up to my dad. He was playing World of Warcraft on his computer. And I was like, I just sang the whole thing. I was like, "Hey dad, do your boobs hang low? Do they wobble?" I did the whole thing. And then he just looked at me and then just slapped me right across the face. And I was stunned. I had no idea why he did this. I went to my mom, who was the strict one, who was the person that I probably shouldn't have sang it to. Like I sang it to my dad because I thought he was the chill one. So I went up to dad. I was like, sorry, I went up to mom and I was like, I just sang this in front of dad and he slapped me. And my mom was like, what? And she's like, Kevin, why did you slap him? And like, I don't remember what he said. And he doesn't remember because he's such bad memory. I do not know why that happened, but it's kind of hilarious in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably in the middle of a raid. I mean, you can't be distracted. You've got
Man was out there with Leroy
to
Jenkins trying to make
exactly,
it happen, man.
exactly.
Yeah,
I love that story, and also I love the kind of like role reversal with your parents. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
The last most important question. This movie starts with John's character enjoying a scene in the video game Mass Effect. I assume you played that game. Who did you romance in? You can pick the Mass Effect that you want to. There's 1 through 3. Who did you romance?
I was a huge fan of Liara. I think I might have even romanced Miranda at one point. maybe I did multiple plays. Maybe I romanced Miranda in Mass Effect 2 and Liara in Mass Effect 3 now that I think about it. But yeah, I had a crush on Liara growing up, and also the film deals so much with the othering of young women that I thought it'd be interesting foreshadowing that John would literally be masturbating to an alien because women are often treated as alien to him, and then young boys often think of young girls as aliens that they can't figure out. So I thought it was both accurate to my life, and I thought it was thematically accurate to the film's theme.
Perfect. Layers upon layers. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So the film is premiering at the Tribeca International Film Festival on June 5th, 2025. You're out getting the word out, promoting it, letting people hear about this story. But after people see Lemonade Blessing, is there anything else they can look forward from you? Are you working on anything else? Or are you just going to focus on moving this through the festival circuit and getting it out to, wherever the final destination of this movie is?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. We definitely got to make sure this thing makes a splash, and I'm working full time on that. But I've got another script ready. It's kind of like the father son to Lemonade's mother son, and it's a 2021 period piece about a kid who gambles his dad's life savings away during the GameStop short squeeze, and he loses half of his dad's life savings and has to get it back before his dad notices. So it's kind of like if Big Short and Uncut Gems like had a kid and that kid grew up and failed his first year of business school. Like it's just a crazy internety ADHD gambling type movie. And I'd hopefully team up with Jake again for that and pair him with a great guy to play his dad. So look forward to that if I can get some money together for that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love it. I love it. I love that premise. Also has a little bit of Good Boys in there as well, where they're trying to like replace something before their parents see it. I would love to see that. But while you wait for this potential movie, first check out Lemonade Blessing coming to the 2025 Tribeca International Film Festival. This is writer director Chris Merola. Thank you so much for your time.
Dude, thank you so much. These were really thoughtful questions. I feel like at least like 70% of this interview was stuff I'd never said before, and like the other like 25. So like thank you for great questions. This was really exciting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun and fight on.
Hell yeah, dude. Fight on.